A new movie out. Came out last week. Am I a Racist? It's the new film from Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire team that produced What is a Woman? Now, it hit theaters, as I mentioned, last Friday, achieving the third highest box office results of the weekend, making it already the highest grossing documentary film of 2024. Now, the film, which features Walsh as a bumbling DEI trainee, delightfully lampoons woke DEI culture. It is disturbingly hilarious, and the left is furious. Joining me now to discuss the film is the director-producer, Justin Folk, and co-producer, Sean Hampton. Guys, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you.
Tony?
You guys have to be thrilled by the response from the first weekend.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Great start. Great start. We hope that the momentum builds from here. I think word of mouth is getting out about the film. A lot of great response from people that went to see it in the theater last week, and we're really hoping for a big weekend coming up.
Sean, you and I actually talked about it a few weeks ago. We were together up in Alaska, and it's been a few weeks since I watched it. But as I said, it was disturbingly hilarious. Disturbing because there are people that actually believe this stuff. Hilarious as how foolish they look. And I got to ask the question, because my kids were asking the question, how could these people be so foolish to go on camera and say the things they said?
You know, I think it's a real testament to the bubble that these people put themselves in and refuse to come out of. I can remember when being an academic meant that you are used to having your ideas challenged and you're used to having to defend your position. That was the hallmark of an academic at one point, but now it seems that they put up walls, and anyone who tries to go against what they say, they just have to deal with that wall. And all that to say, I believe they really just set themselves up to be exposed in this way. When your ideas are so weak that they cannot be challenged and you do not allow them to be challenged, you're just asking for the truth to come in and shine right through all of that.
Yeah, and Justin, you saw that actually in the first scene, I think, of the movie, where there's that little therapy session going on, and they all get triggered when they find out it's Matt Walsh sitting there among them. Now, you really changed the national conversation back with the movie What is a Woman? Now you're taking on DEI. What do you hope to accomplish with this?
We really hope to change the conversation around this issue of race. We really hope to, in one way, really poison this DEI push in our country that's been so divisive and harmful to Americans. Much the same way that we did with What is a Woman and gender ideology. Ultimately, we went out and worked hard on this movie, and we just really not just hope to entertain people, but we really hope to move the needle on culture. As we know, politics is downstream from culture. We really hope to give people courage as well with this movie. I think a lot of people are out there. They've been through these DEI trainings. They're sick of it. They're tired of the whole idea that we have to categorize ourselves as either oppressed or the oppressor. And it's time for regular, everyday Americans to push back. And we just hope that our film not only entertains people, but gives people the courage to push back on this.
So one way to push back is to go to the theaters this weekend and watch the film. Take somebody with you and go watch it.
That's absolutely the best way to do it. That's a great way to start. And, there's a trade that is involved there, too. We hope that you're entertained as well. And we really think we will be. It's a very funny movie about a serious topic. And but it does have a serious point to it. And, laughter is a powerful tool. It disarms people. It opens people up to ideas. And that was our goal with this film.
Now, Sean, there have been efforts by the left to cancel theaters that are showing this movie, but it's not been effective to date, has it?
No, not yet. That's the encouraging part, is that the people are actually bypassing all of that nonsense and they're going straight to the source for truth. The left really set themselves up in our case because their number one tactic is trying to ignore or just avoid something that they think is a serious threat. But as I said before, the truth always does shine through. And I'm very proud of everyone in the public for not believing the media in through their silence and ignoring the film and actually going and seeing it and taking a friend, and taking other people to see it. There's so many people saying, I took my friend, and I took a coworker, and I took my family, and I took my mom. And that's what we need. And we need that kind of community to keep coming around the film. And so far, it's been overwhelming, the large response we've had.
That's great, because that is one way we make a statement to Hollywood and elsewhere. Justin, I want to ask you a couple of scenes that were kind of my favorites. One in particular, my home state of Louisiana, was down in New Orleans, a car repair shop, where my take on it was kind of baiting this guy, thinking, oh, this is a bad country, you've been mistreated. He didn't buy it, did he?
He didn't go in that direction. That's one thing that we found while we were making this movie, when we talked to regular, common, everyday people, is that they're not caught up in this. They're not believing the sort of the lies that are being fed to them, and they're out there living their lives, trying to make a living, and it's really these experts, these so-called experts, that are being hired by companies that are pushing this agenda, that are the ones that are jamming it down our throats. And we felt it was important to go out and highlight how, just regular, common, everyday people feel about this subject, whether they're white or they're black. And Milton is a beautiful story, because he owns a auto body shop down there in New Orleans. And he just has a wonderful spirit. He just is a lovely man. And he delivered a very important message for us, which is, hey, there's actually a really simple solution here of how to solve this. And that's just simply loving each other and looking past skin color. And also, it's interesting, too, because he points out, his main inspiration in life is the Bible. He mentions it in the scene that we talked to him when Matt asks him, okay, well, what do you read? And he says, I read the Bible. It's right there in my car, sitting there on my seat. And I think that's a really important lesson of his faith and living that faith out in the real world in terms of loving people and how do we get past racism? Well, Milton has the answer. And it was exciting talking to him. We didn't know what we were going to get with Milton. We sort of found him when I was with my crew member, and we went looking for a sandwich, and we looked across the street, and there was Milton sitting there on his chair. And so we're like, hey, let's go talk to him. And it's a wonderful interview. It's actually, I consider it the heart and soul of the film.
It was one of my highlights. And Milton, I don't know that it was in the film, but I don't think he's the native of America. He immigrated to this country, I think, based on his accent. But he loves his country. Total opposite of what we're being told by the legacy media, how folks view this country. It was one of my highlights. Sean, one of the other highlights was toward the end of the film when Matt sat down with Robin DAngelo, the author of White Fragility. Tell us how that went down. That was shocking to me that she sat down and had this interview.
It was pretty shocking in the moment, in those times, you're just kind of always on edge, because you're seeing the person look at Matt, and you're just waiting for them to say, wait, aren't you? And just that moment never came. But you can kind of get paranoid, and every glance, every gesture, you think this is going to be it. And then when that moment actually happened, it's just like you saw on screen. You could hear a pin drop 2 miles away. Everyone was just dead silent. And her finally turning over the money, which, by the way, Ben from the movie was very gracious and shared with me one of the bills. So I actually do have some authentic Robin DAngelo reparations money right here.
Yeah, that was a hilarious moment. I mean, you could feel the tension there about, the left, those on the left, they want to force everybody else to do stuff. But then when they're put into the position of having to do it themselves, it's like so awkward. Well, I don't know. That just kind of, that's awkward. It was hilarious. And I mean, I think that had to be one of the most unexpected but highlights of the film for you guys.
Absolutely, it was a very big moment for the film and in person. These scenes, when they end, they're not just the end of a scene in a movie. You're watching the culmination of months of efforts. And just a big team that works together, a big family, really. We've made 2 films together now, What is a Woman and Am I Racist? And you're watching, like, as I said, not just a scene ending, but you're watching the culmination of all of our efforts and work. So each one of those is a really huge victory to everyone who worked on that team.
And it's like this this interview we're doing right now. It's unscripted. It's live. You don't know what you're going to get when you do it. Justin, I want to ask you this: have you heard from any of those who sat down for these interviews who found out later that they were actually talking to Matt Walsh?
Well, not directly, but they have made statements, several of them, including Robin DAngelo, actually. And she came out with a statement right before last weekend when the film came out. And, of course, she kind of went to the usual, oh, they tricked me or whatever. And actually, when you look at what happened there, we did exactly what we said we were going to do. We wanted to hear from Robin DAngelo. We wanted to get her perspective. That's actually sort of the whole point of the whole film is to hear these people in their own words. And I really don't believe that Robin DAngelo would back away from anything she said in our movie. We didn't do any selective editing or any trickery. Right. And I think she would stand by every statement that she actually made in the film. Now, was she happy, about being in a film with Matt Walsh? No. But, I think, America can see for themselves what these ideas actually are, and they can make their own conclusions. And that was our goal, I think, with this film.
So, I mean, essentially what you did is you went into the closed rooms they're having these conversations in, because they're not saying them in such a way. They're not having debates. We don't have debates on cable television anymore about these issues because, as Sean, as you said earlier, they don't want people to know what they're talking about. And so I think that's the thing they're upset about, is it's been exposed what they've been talking about, what they believe.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, over the years, whenever you hear about DEI workshops, you typically are hearing some sort of leak that came out. So Coca-Cola or, Amazon, whomever, Netflix, had some sort of DEI specialist come in, and here's a leaked document or here's some leaked audio. You never really get them showcasing what they talk about, and they hide behind, well, you have to attend the workshop to hear what we're saying. But what they don't want is their hate being recorded and broadcast to the world. Yeah.
Justin, I said there was, I had two highlights. Actually, there was a third that I really liked. It was the workshop that Matt hosted at the end, where you had, I don't know, about 8 or 9 people came in. We were sitting there the whole time watching, said, are those people for real? Did they really sign up for this workshop? I mean, was that real?
That was all real. Those are real people. We found them on Craigslist, as Matt jokes about in the movie. Craigslist is a place where you can get people to do just about anything. And so we invited them into this workshop. And ultimately, the goal of the workshop is to have Matt, he hosts the workshop, and he takes these ideas that he's learned about all throughout the film, through all the people that he talked to during the course of the movie, and he incorporates those ideas into the workshop. And then we basically take things to their logical conclusions of where all of this leads to. And of course, it's very funny, but it is rooted in something very real, which is these are what these ideas lead to. And even though there's a lot of comedy in our movie, I think we get the point across of, like, is this the direction that we truly want to go with this? And I've heard from many, many people that have sat through some of these DEI workshops and trainings, and they've told me, hey, listen, your workshop in the movie that Matt did is not really any different from the ones I've had to sit through myself. And it's just very funny with Matt doing it. He's really a brilliant performer. He can think so quickly on his feet. He's got a great deadpan sense of humor. And the workshop is definitely a highlight for me as well. So I'm glad it resonated with you, Tony.
Yeah. I feel sorry for his uncle, though. Well, guys, we're out of time, but I want to thank both of you, Sean, Justin, for joining us. And let me just say this. I think you hit the mark. Excellent movie. I'm going to encourage people to go see it this weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much.